20 miles an hour.
You wouldn't get off my car. Yes, you wouldn't get off of me.
Go ahead, do it. Steal my kids again.
I didn't steal your kids.
Yes, you just
You
tried
took
to.
my phones away.
You're
You're taking my property. My car keys.
You have your car keys.
To this one.
To this car?
Yes, you took the other ones
Oh,
from
is
my
the price
dad.
such a nice?
You are an abusive animal.
No, I'm not.
You are. You just took my phones out of my
Just keep
bag.
taking my kids.
No, I didn't. I put
Get
them
out
in
of
the
my
car
way,
because you're
girl.
abusing
Don't
me.
cheat on me.
Greetings, my ever so loyal friends. Welcome to this edition of Rollin' Rambles. Today, I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart and the hearts of a lot of other people, and why you should never do it, because it's not actually near and dear to my heart. It's garbage. It's a bad deal, and you shouldn't take it. It's a poop sandwich, and you shouldn't take a bite. That is marriage. No one should ever get legally married. Now, pay attention to what I said. I did not say no one should get married. I said no one should get legally married. But Jody, what's the difference between getting married and getting legally married? See, the problem with marriage, specifically the problem that I have with marriage, is that you're not marrying your spouse when you get legally married. You're marrying the state, the government. And that's the whole problem with it. Yes, there are some benefits that are automatically conferred to you if you happen to get married legally. Most of those involve end of life. There are some assumptions legally that a certain person can make decisions for other people. And I can understand maybe if you're both in your 70s and thus it's likely one of you will croak in the next 15 years, that maybe you should get married just so that the other person is your designated person who has say over all of the decisions about whether or not the plug gets pulled, for example, if you are on life support. But other than these end-of-life benefits, there's really not any major benefit to getting married. I actually think that there are some instances where getting married enables sharing your insurance. But even then, it's a bad deal, because ultimately the problem with marriage comes down to what happens when it ends. And given the divorce statistics, which I believe is over half of marriages end in divorce, it's not a question of if it will end so much as when and how it will end. And most divorces are initiated by women. And if the women are college educated, it's an even higher ratio. And in general, divorce and family courts have a tendency, not everywhere, not all the time, but there is a general trend of all family and divorce courts siding more with women in all matters. There's sort of a default assumption that women should get more, that women need more help. Now, granted, we live in a post-feminist era where women are supposed to be equal to men, or at least under the law they're supposed to be. The problem is there's this big gap between the way that the law is supposed to work and the way that it actually works in practice. And the only thing that ultimately matters is how it works in practice. If you have a court that's supposed to treat both parties equally, but always sides with one party, you're not going to pretend like, oh, well, the law says that they should be equal. No, the law says that, but that's not the way they behave. And the problem is, unless you're going to go to great lengths to attempt to challenge that, which, let's be honest, you're not, then you have to assume that you're just going to be on the receiving end of this treatment, and that's the end of it. Now, I did say that it's not all women. It's not all siding with women. It's not all women that initiate divorce. So there's plenty of room for you ladies to get screwed over too. There are assumptions regarding marital property and child custody and so on. There's all these matters that have to be split in half that can't necessarily be cleanly split in half. It's hard enough at the end of a relationship to split things in half. It's hard enough you can't take a house, cut it down the middle, and you haul this part off and I'll haul that part off, and we've split the house equally. No, the sale could be forced. So, poof, fire sale the house, get less than what you should get for it, because you have a dispute, and then you each get half the money and have no house. Way to go. That went really well. Oh, aren't you both so far ahead in life now? Stuff like that really improves your station in life, doesn't it? You know, taking assets, losing value on them, and then splitting it in half. And then you still have to find somewhere to rent, both of you. It's hard to split up when you've lived together because you're used to dual income, and now you're going back to single income. Everything becomes more expensive. You may have overextended your lifestyle. There's all kinds of problems. So, I ask you, dear viewer, why would you take that and then stack on top of that, unnecessarily, completely by choice, the fact that now the state gets to meddle within those affairs? Now, the state might be able to step in and decide who gets what and how whenever you split up. Oh, and by the way, one or both of you probably will also incur thousands, probably tens of thousands of dollars if there's a dispute, in legal fees. So it's a real nice way to take your $500,000 house or whatever, sell it for 400 grand, each of you get 200 grand, and then spend 50 to 100 grand of what you got on lawyers to fight each other. Way to go. Oh, that's brilliant. Unfortunately, some states are incredibly stupid and recognize this notion of common law marriage, where if you just live together long enough, you're considered to be married, even if you aren't married. And that's even worse. It's the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard in my life. When I found out that that's actually a thing, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So you can be married without ever even knowing it and be on the hook as if you're married just because you cohabitate. Even if you keep your stuff separate, just being opposite sex under the same roof. And you know, now that gay marriage is legal, constitutionally recognized, valid, and all that, now the gays and the lesbians and the trans people and everybody can join in on this getting screwed by the state party that previously was only available to straight people, I guess. So now, maybe, I don't know, I don't know if this has been tested, but just maybe, these states that recognize common law marriage, does that mean if I'm a dude and I room with another dude to save on costs, and we live together for 5 years or whatever, does that mean that now we're common law gay married? Does that mean that when the other dude has some sort of a spat with me and we have to break up, that now you treat us as if we're married, and all of a sudden all the assets are marital commingled assets? Are you kidding me? Really? And I don't know if that's the way it is, but it's possible. It would make sense under the ridiculous notion of common law marriage. Plus, the fact that the state just loves to screw with you if you do get married and you decide to split up and both parties cannot be super duper adult and agree 100% on everything. Now, I speak from experience because I got married and I shouldn't have. I got married to a woman because she nagged me about when I was going to ask her to marry her, so I married her to shut her up. I didn't marry her because I wanted to. I married her so she'd shut up about it. And that was not a good choice. Fortunately, when I told her that I was done, no, we can't go to counseling, no, there is no fixing this, no, I'm done, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, and that's all there is to it, and you'll never change my mind. After she got done throwing every picture in the house on the ground and smashing the frames, and she calmed down, and she went away and lived somewhere else for a few months, she basically realized that we had assets in each other's names. We had co-signed on each other's auto loans. So we cross-signed the cars over, and we split up all the property when she moved out. And so there was really nothing else. There were no kids, nothing like, thank God, no kids, right? But there was nothing else. So everything had already been split up. I even fixed up her car after she did some incredibly stupid things halfway across the country. So you get the idea. It was not a good situation. It never should have happened in the first place, but I was autistic, and spineless and a doormat, and she was manipulative and, territorial. Basically, I was her target, so to speak. I don't know exactly what disorder she had. I know that she was diagnosed bipolar and on lithium at one point, but that's about all I know. I don't know if there was something else going on. I don't know if it was actually BPD or something. I have no idea. But we're talking about, like, God, has it been 20 years now? At least, since that happened. And, yeah, so she, it was a very bad situation. But I was very lucky in that we split up pretty much cleanly, except for the cars. And it turned out the psycho at least was level-headed in terms of splitting up. Thank God. I've been in other relationships and where people have lived with me or whatever. And in those relationships, one of them, they didn't leave nicely, but they did go away quickly. So that was good. I did find out later that she got arrested for beating up her significant other in the future. So I probably dodged a big fat bullet with that one. Another one, which was a much more long-term relationship, same deal, except she wasn't psycho and we were very level-headed. So, that split up went well. But the most important thing about these relationships that I have ended and walked away from, the most important thing is that I didn't marry anyone else. None of them did I have an agreement with the state that bound me to them. Oh, and by the way, in case you don't know, in a lot of places, including this place, you have to be separated for a year. You have to have a year's separation before you can even think about getting a legal divorce. So if you want to get rid of someone who is a garbage person, who is dragging you down, messing up your life, and you're married to them, oh no, the state says you have to be stuck to them for another year. Oh no, you can't get an annulment. No, you have to separate for a year. What is separation? Just basically not live together. Okay. But if I want to end the stupid marriage, I should be able to end the stupid marriage. Why should I be bound to this psycho? There's no reason for it. And that's the thing, is if you're not married, you don't have to get divorced. They just pack their shit up and leave. Wow. Wow, that was amazing. Oh, so much easier if you don't have that barrier in your way. And that's really what I'm talking about. You should never get legally married. Now, why am I saying you should never get legally married? Why am I not saying you should never get married, period? Because you could get married, but here's the thing. Marriage is like a ceremony, okay? It's like a sort of it's a ceremonial thing. You don't have to get married like in the law. You don't have to go to the state, make a binding contract with the state, and be bound to the state and stuck with all these BS rules, and most likely at the end of the relationship, if the state gets involved at all, both of you end up on the losing end, but one usually ends up on a worse losing end than the other, and the state often doesn't find the way you think they should or that makes any sense. So you can choose not to do that. Why would you do that? If you want to go get married in church, or whatever, have like, oh yes, but I do, sickness and in health, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. If that's what you want to do. Don't get the legal license. Just don't bring the law into it. The truth of the matter is, and this is going to be the really hard pill to swallow for a whole lot of people, marriage will never make your relationship better. Marriage is not necessary to have a good relationship. Marriage will often make a bad relationship worse and stick you with the person that you are not good for at least another year. Marriage has almost no practical upsides unless you're going to die soon. And even then, a lot of those things can still be assigned through other legal means without getting married. You can have things filed that assign various rights, power of attorney and such, in the event that you're incapacitated, without having a marriage, an actual legal marriage. If you want to have a wedding and let your family know that you intend to stay together forever, that's fine. That's great. Enjoy it. Don't take out a loan to do it. Don't go into debt to get married ever, ever, ever. It's 100% always a bad idea. But if you want to have a ceremony so that everybody can, basically have a party celebrating that you guys are happy together, do it. Just don't bind yourself to garbage. Just don't do it. Why would you do it? Why would you willingly eat a poop sandwich? It just doesn't make any sense. Oh, but if I eat the poop sandwich, there's a chance that if something goes horribly wrong with me, that my partner will have automatic rights that I could have assigned in some other way anyway, and I can add them to my insurance, beep boop. Yeah, it doesn't work. It falls flat. I don't care what rationalization you use to say that, oh, but you should get married anyway. I don't care if you're religious and you're like, oh, but God says I have to do it. Well, if God says you have to do it, then do it. But I'm pretty sure God doesn't say you have to sign a contract with the state that says that you'll adhere to all these rules and restrictions that tie you to this person in a legal way that has nothing to do with the Bible or the Quran or whatever. I'm pretty sure that that's not in any of those holy books. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I could go off on tangents. Like there's the whole, some people get a little crazy with this whole no marriage stuff and are like, oh yeah, don't even date women. I'm not going to say that. I will say be careful who you do get involved with, because you really are the company that you choose to keep, which is why I don't keep any. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little lecture of mine. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that nonsense. Please leave a comment letting me know what you think. If you're religious and I've offended you, that's fine. Get over it. I'm not religious. I'll delete all the Jesus bucket comments that are left other than just general discussion. But if you try to proselytize on my comments, I will nuke all of your comments doing so. Just keep that in mind. Anywho, have a wonderful day. Take care.